2.
Hi, I'm Dan Leonard.
And I'm George Whittam.
And on tonight's VOBS, we've got a great guest, Stu Herrera, who's a radio guy, promo guy, voice guy. He's going to be here in a little bit, and we'll be talking about all his stuff that, some different stuff perhaps that we haven't talked with him about before. Plus, we have some questions.
Yes, we do. And we've got a cool news story about coffee.
Yeah. Coming up here on VOBS.
Two men, twin sons from different mothers, with a passion for voiceover recording technology and the desire to make recording easy for voice actors everywhere. Together, in one place, George Whittam, the home studio engineer to the stars, a Virginia Tech grad with an unmatched knowledge of all the latest gear and technology in voiceover today. Dan Leonard, the home studio master, a voice actor with over 30 years experience in broadcasting and recording, and a no-holds-barred myth-busting attitude for teaching you how easy it is. Together, finally, to bring you all the latest technology, today's voiceover superstars, and leading the discussion on how to make the most of your voiceover business. This is VoiceOver Body Shop. And now, live from their super secret multimedia studio in Sherman Oaks, California, here are George Whittam and Dan Leonard.
Well, that certainly sounded far less announcery. It was unannouncery, as a matter of fact. Good evening, I'm Dan Leonard.
And I'm George Whittam.
And this is VoiceOver
Body Shop.
or VOBS. Yes, it is. Well, happy holidays, everybody, and Merry Christmas to you.
Thank you, sir.
And
Thank you. Merry Christmas to you.
It's interesting being in the holiday season and there's no snow anywhere.
Yeah.
Of course, there's no snow back east either, so
No,
who
it's
really
true.
cares?
You're not really missing much
No,
this time around.
not at all. The wife is back east right now. She's
Yeah.
actually sitting in a theater watching Star Wars right now.
Yeah, well,
that
that would mean she's part of the majority of the population of the U.S.
That's
from
true.
what I can tell.
Went to see it yesterday myself. Jacob and I went to see it. Not going to tell you what happens. Except that it's good. Go see it.
No spoilers here. I haven't seen it yet. I'll have some time, hopefully, when I'm back east with my daughter. I'm flying to Pennsylvania tomorrow with Ella, and we'll be spending 2 weeks back visiting the folks. And I'm going to be driving around Virginia, visiting friends, clients, and then on your birthday, I'll be down at Mary Kelly's for a little gathering of people in the area.
You can have my birthday party there.
Yeah, we're going to have
I don't know.
a two-sider party. It's going to be fun.
That's true. All right. Well, that should be fun.
Yeah.
All righty. Well, what do we got going on tonight? Stu Herrera is going to be here. Sweet. He's now driving madly down the 101, trying to get over here. Of course, nothing moves quickly on the 101 this time of day.
I know where he lives, unless if he's coming from home, he lives further away than I do. So he's got to drive tonight. But hopefully he makes it on time and he's not too frazzled.
I don't think it matters. You
No.
know, with that hair of his, he could look any way he wants.
Right. But Stu, we appreciate you making the effort.
Yeah. And if he's listening to us right now, he's probably having a hard time driving. Anyway, so he's going to be with us. We're going to talk about some different stuff with him. Some other things that he's done in his career that could be very helpful for people if they're in voiceover, because it's from a slightly different perspective. Mm-hmm. And we've got questions from the chat room. Mm-hmm. And, we're going to do a chat room check-in in just a little bit. So if you have a technical voiceover question for us or something else that you want to talk about, throw it in the chat room. Mm-hmm. And Anthony, who is sitting there monitoring the chat room this evening, will throw it to us, and we will see what it is, and we will answer that question to the best of our ability.
Sounds good.
And now...
And now, the Voice Over Xtra VOBS News, the latest and most comprehensive voiceover industry news. Brought to you live.
All right. Well, tonight's news is especially important for coffee drinkers. The next time you're under pressure to complete your audio editing project, I can tell I talk for a living, you might want to avoid that extra cup or 2 or 3 or 5. Why? Because you might hear things that aren't on the track. Now, the popular Sounds Odd column by our dear friend Elizabeth Holmes returns to Voice Over Xtra tonight, with Elizabeth reporting that researchers at a university in Australia found that just 5 cups or more of coffee per day can trigger an auditory hallucination, a belief that you heard something that wasn't really there. Now, their study was conducted on nearly 100 non-clinical individuals to determine how they perceive sound under specific conditions. Subjects were divided into groups that were exposed to high stress, low stress, high caffeine levels, and low caffeine levels. Now, all participants listened to white noise, which includes... Do that again? Okay. Which includes every frequency within the range of human hearing. Then they were asked to report whether they heard Bing Crosby singing, "I'm dreaming of a white Christmas."
Yes, that would be a yes.
Okay. Significantly, the song was never actually played. Nevertheless, individuals who were either under high stress or had just consumed high levels of caffeine, or both, reported hearing the song. Scary, huh? Now, caffeine stimulates the central nervous system in varying degrees, Elizabeth adds, and maybe you can sneak in more than 5 cups if you drink dark roasts, which have less caffeine. Nevertheless, the next time you're relying on your finely tuned sensibilities to hear every nuance in your audio tracks, she advises you that you might want to skip that extra cup or joe. Either that or hope that the person who's listening on the other end has had as much coffee as you have. So, two shots.
Yeah.
Anyway, this article and hundreds more await you now at voiceoverxtra.com, who wishes all of you a very Merry Christmas.
Excellent, man. Well, I tell you, the coffee thing is new to me, believe it or not.
Would explain an awful lot about my life.
I am not a morning coffee person, and now I'm just starting to get into coffee this year. And,
all right.
Yeah, so I'm going to pay special attention to that because the last thing I need are for people telling me that I'm hearing things that aren't on the track, because that's usually my job, is to tell them that what they're hearing isn't on the track.
That's true. I look, because I edit visually.
Right.
And if I hear something and then I don't see it, I'm like, well, then I'm hallucinating. Mm-hmm. But I don't hallucinate. But I only drink one big cup of coffee every morning.
Right.
And that does the job.
You just
for me.
kick it off, and then the rest of the day you kind of ride on that wave.
Right. Although there was that show a couple weeks ago where you and I were both like, I think we need some coffee.
I know.
And it worked.
I know. That stuff's amazing. Who thought of this stuff?
Who thought of this? Remember these cups? There's only 3 left.
Yes.
They're now collector's items. Anyway, so Stu's going to be with us in a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got questions coming up. Anything important that you think people might want to hear about?
Well, I can bring up a little cool tip about people wanting to get a new computer for their studio that use Windows. I can bring that up later.
Ooh, one of my favorite things.
Yeah.
All righty. Well then, we've got the chat room check-in coming in just a couple of minutes. Stu Herrera coming up in a little bit. And lots more stuff here on Voice Over Body Shop. So do not go away. We will be right back.
VO Studio Tech. Recording made simple.
Hi, I'm Peter McHugh.
This is Jim Tasker from Los Angeles, California.
Hi, this is Bill Ratner in Los Angeles.
Hi, this is Scott Rummel here in Yorba Linda, California.
Hi, my name is Rick Wasserman.
Hi, this is Tom Kane.
Hi, my name is Vanessa Marshall.
Hi, my name is Zurich.
Hi, I'm Mary McKittrick.
Randy Thomas chiming in.
Hi, this is Joe Szymanski.
Hey, this is Rick Robles.
Hi, my name is John Patrick Armstrong.
I was turned on to George by none other than Don LaFontaine, who always swore by his health.
George is absolutely awesome.
ISDN, Source Connect, Phone Patch, FTP, you name it, George has set it up.
It's really the best thing I've ever done for myself. I feel free, safe, fearless, like anything is possible in here.
Unless you like to look for opportunities to waste time, call George.
And he did all of that, long distance over the phone and the internet.
I'm very happy with George, and I cherish him.
Thanks, George. You make it easy.
Learning never ends.
You continue to grow.
Edge Studio has grown. Pursue multiple disciplines in tandem and grow your career. We've added new courses in a new curriculum,
We picked the best coaches from the community of working voice actors.
a new technology division, engineering and consulting led by George Whittam.
Follow your dream.
Sign up for advanced learning or register for an introduction to voice acting or foundation studies program
See it all now.
at thenewedgestudio.com.
Having dinner tonight? How about having some VO too?
Voice Over Body Shop.
Have some voiceover with your dinner tonight on Voice Over Body Shop, 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific.
All right, we're back here on Voice Over Body Shop, or VO.
BS.
And I think we'll get a lot of that tonight. Anyway.
Because Stu's here.
That's right.
Wait a minute.
Can't wait.
That's not really a nice thing to say.
What?
That BS and Stu's here?
You're the one that said it.
Oh. Well,
see, now we get to answer some questions. So now we can really BS people a little
Time
bit.
to have some fun.
All right. So what do we have in the chat room so far tonight as far as questions go?
Well, the first thing that came in, this came in by email from our buddy Jack DeGolia, who puts our show notes together every week.
Every week.
Except maybe last week. Did you just say I can't even keep up?
There was way too much stuff. It really was.
Like 1,000,001 words. He says, this is a shorty, but it's time to talk about it. It's cold and flu season. He says it's Alkalol. Is it not a mouthwash? Or is it a nasal rinse? Can you use it for both? Can you tell us what this alcohol stuff is again?
Excuse me a minute.
Yeah.
I'll be right back. I have to go get something.
We've all talked about alcohol. We've talked about alcohol in the past, so you regulars know what we're talking about. But Dan swears by this stuff.
God damn it!
I
swear, not swear at it. Just swear
Swears
by it. Right? To be,
he swears by this stuff, and
yes,
here it is.
it's alcohol.
I'll get a close up. I'll go in tight on this. Okay, go ahead. There it is. Right. Alcohol.
Yes. Now, what this stuff is it says a natural soothing nasal wash. Okay. So that directly answers Jack's question. It's a mucus solvent and cleaner.
Mm-hmm.
So if you happen to be spitting on your monitor a lot, I guess it can probably help clean that off. Anyway, what this stuff does is it sort of dissolves mucus. And if you've got cotton mouth, or dry mouth, or something like that, when you're making lots of clicks and stuff, I dilute this like 20-1 and put it in an old spray bottle from some throat spray, which I can still taste 3 years later. But it doesn't numb my tongue.
Okay.
But you rinse that around, you spit it out, and all of your little lip clicks are gone.
Works that well, huh?
It works that well. Not as tasty as a Granny Smith apple, which everybody else swears by. But
right.
I can't remember who told me about that, but it works.
So yeah, you can use it for both.
Yes. Well, not as a mouthwash per se. I don't think it would get rid of the germs. I mean, if you want to use this to get rid of gingivitis, you're up the creek.
No, it's just a little. Yeah, it loosens up the mucus.
Right.
Yeah. And use a different batch after you do the nasal. Don't use the same batch for your sprayer.
Right.
Okay.
It's actually made for a neti pot. So.
Yeah, neti pot.
Right.
Another one from Steve Allen. I wanted to say Steve Allen because I saw Stan Allen, and he says, George and Dan, I'm a brand new host. Apparently, I am a brand new aspiring VO who watches your shows on YouTube. In fact, I enjoy your show so much, I've purchased several items from some of your sponsors and guests. Are you guys paying attention? Thank you. Furthermore, I have enrolled in one of Dan's webinars. Cool.
All right.
I am so
new
to
to
this.
Fun.
Yeah, they are. I hear they're good. I am so new to this industry and so hungry for useful knowledge that I spend at least 2 to 3 hours per day reading, watching, and listening to everything I can about this business and art. Thank you so much for all you do. Very sincerely, Steve Allen Durham from Maine. Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Once in a while, a rave is nice to read on the air. So.
It is.
Thanks,
he's so new we can still smell the freshness.
Right, exactly. Another one from John Worsham. This one might be an actual question. Cool. Dan, George, what is he saying? Dan, George, first let me say I love the show and all of its whimsical, hijinky, and informative glory.
My goodness.
Thanks, and you're awesome. I was curious to know if you guys had heard of the Chaotica eyeball. Oh, yes, we have.
Yes, we have.
What are your thoughts? Is it all that it claims to be, or is it too good to be true? Finally, you've mentioned on the show about being a guest or stage director. How can I get on that? Oh, this guy wants to come in and help out. Hey.
Well, we don't really need stage directors anymore. We found that when they show up at 10 to 6, it's not a big help.
Simpler is better, and we found that running it ourselves seems to work pretty well.
Now that we know what we're doing, and it's like, okay, I can move the camera and stuff like that. But we do like having an audience.
And we do like having guests, so absolutely write us if you want to be a guest on the show. But to answer the question at hand, the Chaotica eyeball. I wish I had brought one. I should have read this before. I didn't bring mine. But it's you can Google it. KAOTICA, the Chaotica eyeball. It is a foam ball that you slide over top of your condenser mic. It has an opening in the bottom, and then you have a foam ball around the mic and a pop screen in the front.
That's very good pantomime, by the way.
Thank you. And a little pop screen in the front, or the front, which would be the front. The whole idea being that is it's supposed to knock down the echo around the microphone, as well as reduce the amount of noise that gets into the microphone. And I have to say it's a clever product, clever in theory, and it can help. But I have found that in my personal experience that it will make a bad mic in a bad room sound better. It definitely will, or a good mic in a really bad room sound better. But if you've got a good mic in a good room, like a good, a room that's already set up correctly, it will actually...
Why bother?
It colors the sound and makes it sound worse.
Right.
That's been my experience. So it's anything that you put that close to a microphone, made out of foam, dense foam, is going to color the sound somehow. And the mic does it, or the Chaotica does. It adds, in my experience, some bottom end that wasn't there before. And it's rare that we, as voice actors, need more bottom end.
No.
We're usually trying to get rid of some of it.
Right.
So you got to be very careful. If you have a mic in a big open room with nothing in it, and you just stick this on, it will actually help. But if you're in a little closet, a little small booth, it does not work very well at all.
Right. You're better off just talking into your clothes.
Yeah.
It actually does
true.
a much better job of diffusal than...
It really does.
Diffusal?
Diffusion, absorption, diffusion.
This is why I suck at words with friends.
We're both sucking at words tonight, but that's another story.
That's a whole nother deal. But anyway, I've never tried it, mostly because you said, what would I need it for? I mean, we're in an acoustically perfect place here.
Yeah, this is pretty
so
well
why
tuned.
bother?
Yeah.
If you're on the road or something like that, it might help.
Yeah,
and yet there are people that swear by it.
Yeah, I mean, you can squish this thing down because it's foam. You can smash it into your baggage.
Yeah.
And when you get there, it'll pop back apart. It'll pop back into shape. So it's an interesting product. They haven't made one yet for a shotgun mic. And that
good luck with that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could cut a small hole and insert it in the back, but right now it only fits on like a microphone like this VO1A or your Neumann's or whatever.
Right.
So,
let them develop it.
Kind of lukewarm on it.
Yeah, it's not really that important to have. There's other ways to make sure that you have the right sound when you're not at home.
Yeah, exactly.
But I wouldn't rely on it for a home studio.
Here's one that slipped in.
Oh.
Can you read that from way over there?
Let's see here. Tech question. I'm planning a new booth. What would be a good dimension set for best acoustics? I know not to have the same dimensions in two planes, but is there something standard? Well, we know that it shouldn't necessarily have four sides.
Right. Well, four sides that are the equal length.
Equal length, yeah.
Yeah.
But you just can't have any acute angles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you don't want you don't want angles that are like, acute. That is the word. Where it's less than 90 degrees is acute, right?
Right.
You don't want angles that are less than 90 degrees if you can avoid it. So I have found in my experience that a room that is rectangular is usually the best way to go.
Mm-hmm.
Avoid a square. A perfect cube is the absolute worst.
Yeah.
Stick with something that's rectangular. Size ratios, maybe you can look up something called the golden ratio, because some studio designers think that using this golden ratio in terms of length of walls really helps.
Nothing is more crazy than looking at acoustical equations.
I know.
What?
Yeah, it's true.
Sounds okay to me.
But it's for the purposes of voiceover, when you're working in a room that's that small in most cases, just avoid a square. go with something more rectangular, and you're going to just pad the heck out of it. You're going to have a lot of acoustic treatment in there to tune out that boxy, small room sound anyway. So I don't think there's a real ideal. I mean, again, the golden ratio, go ahead and check it out online. You'll see type in studios golden ratio, and you'll find what I'm talking about in terms of size ratios. I can't remember what the exact values are to look at, but
yeah. I always theorized, and you'll probably remember this from many years ago.
Yeah.
A round booth might actually make a lot of sense. Because there's no corners.
Well, there's no corners, that's for sure.
And then, of course, you could have lined it with studio suit, and it would have been fine.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess if you were to pad the entire cylinder so it's all absorbing, good old studio suit.
So you can see if you can get a
still
shot
exists.
of that. There's still some of it around, but
we're using it though. You can't have it.
Yeah, it's actually in my studio.
You can't have it. I guess in theory that could work. I guess the problem that happens with the cylinder is it starts to have somewhat of a parabolic kind of thing going on.
If you use the right diffusion on it, though, it might work.
It might work.
Now, I remember somebody was once trying to invent an inflatable sound booth, and it apparently never got off the ground. They were having trouble manufacturing it in China.
Yeah,
inflatable. So it was a bit of a problem.
I
remember they called me and said, "Would you test this thing?" Absolutely, and I would have had to have driven to Cleveland.
Yeah,
and I was ready to do it, and then I guess they never really worked.
The one scenario where a cylindrical or circular booth does work was when you're just taking you put up a track on the ceiling.
Oh, like a shower curtain.
And hang blankets or acoustics around you like that. That situation actually works really well. But that's because the sound is allowed to escape and it's allowed to breathe.
Right.
And go out into the rest of the room and break up, dissipate, and all that stuff.
And then it hits the curtain.
Yeah, and then by the time
more.
it comes back in, it's dissipated even further. So
yeah. We discuss acoustics on the show a lot.
Yeah.
But you have to emphasize that acoustics is a huge percentage of the quality of the audio in your home studio.
It's hugely important.
It's not the microphone. Not that this isn't a great microphone. We talked about microphones last week until people were nauseous. Actually, everybody enjoyed the discussion last week.
I think so.
And I learned a whole lot. For example, I actually bought one of these this week.
Look at that. A blue baby bottle.
Yeah. Everybody last week had a different opinion of which mic sounded the best. Hold on one second.
Don't let it go.
Well, yeah, I'm not going to buy this and then just let it go here.
Yeah.
But everybody had a different opinion about which mic I sounded best on. But Cliff said baby bottle sounded best.
So bam, there it is.
So Cliff, you win.
Well, you needed a mic to take the place of the TLM 103 for a little while it's out being
which
in
is
the shop,
being refurbished by our friends at Sennheiser Neumann.
Yeah,
in Old Lyme, Connecticut.
Another tech question from Steve Tardio.
Oh, Steve, how are you, man?
Hey, it's regarding Twisted Wave.
Okay, is there a reason why when you normalize your recording, sometimes the levels shoot to super high and sometimes the levels don't move at all?
Super high levels.
Could you be a little bit more specific about that? It's creating transients of some sort.
It could
depends on where you normalize too.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, Twisted Wave could be a red herring there, where it's not actually Twisted Wave's fault, but it's the audio hardware, a driver, or some other anomaly that's causing this problem. So when something like that happens, you don't know what's going on. I will usually say try recording in some other program first, and the obvious choice is usually Audacity because it's free.
Right.
Download and stick Audacity on your machine and hit record and see if you get the same bizarre random behavior. And if you do, then you've ruled out that it's Twisted Wave. Then it's not just that one program. It's now an audio hardware driver problem.
Right. If you set it to normalize to -3, it's going to take the highest level and take that to -3.
Yeah, but I mean, but also sometimes people, he's just describing that the levels shoot super high. Does that mean that it just appears really loud or it actually sounds really loud? Some people will mess with the zoom control by mistake in Twisted Wave.
Right.
And the waveform gets really, really big and that confuses people.
Same thing happens in Audition too.
Yeah.
You're like scrolling. I'm like, wait, whoa.
Yeah. I can say for that, if that happens to you, there's a little magnifying glass at the top of the screen. That's the vertical zoom. And if you click on it, it immediately resets the Zoom in case that happens.
Yeah. There's another one that happens in Audition a lot too. People will click the wrong thing and suddenly their desktop will get all messed up.
Oh, yeah, because you can completely configure how everything's laid out, right?
You go up to the top there where it says, I can't remember exactly what it says. But
Workspace?
Workspace. You click on Workspace and click Default, and it goes back to where it was.
Yeah.
People are like, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of amazing, we've got Stu Herrera with us in just a minute or two, and you forgot the Source Elements spot in the last break.
Oh, shoot. I owe them a spot there.
You do. So
right, we will do that.
So why don't we'll take a break here, and George will get to read that, and we'll be right back here on Voice Over Body Shop.
Are you confused about how to set up and maintain a professional quality voiceover studio? No wonder. The information out there is mostly mythology. This is the best microphone to use. You have to have a preamp. You need a soundproof booth. This software is the best. Your audio must be broadcast quality. Consult with someone who knows the truth. Someone who's been there, in the trenches, doing voiceover for over 30 years. Someone with unparalleled experience with voiceover studios, who's worked with hundreds of voice actors and designed hundreds of personal studios. He knows how to teach and cares about your success. In one of the harshest environments known to voiceover, your home. Dan Leonard, the Home Studio Master. Separate myth from fact and get a handle on your personal voiceover studio. Contact the Home Studio Master at homevoiceoverstudio.com. Drop off a specimen of your dry audio for a free analysis.
You're listening to VOBS. You're listening to VOBS.
Hey, everybody. I got to tell you all about Source Elements. Oops. Forgot last break. Sorry, guys. Hey, Source Elements. Thank you so much for, first of all, supporting the show. And why do you want to know about Source Elements? Well, if you are a voice actor who's kind of crossing the threshold from kicking the tires to working on a pretty regular basis, and now you have to actually connect to studios real time and do sessions on their time, you might want to look into Source Connect. It is a really, really great tool. If you've heard of the buzzword of Source, the buzzword ISDN, it's something that's been around a very, very long time, and it's starting to become more and more difficult to get. But not only that, more expensive and less reliable as that aging ISDN network starts to get more and more defunct or just have more technical issues. So having a system that you can rely on that's either a backup or an alternative to ISDN is going to be a really smart thing to do. And right now, the best tool for that job that I've seen and been involved with using is definitely Source Connect. Source Connect is available from sourceelements.com. You can download it and use a demo for 15 days for free and give it a shot. Their support is really good. They will help you get it up and running and jump through any minor hurdles there are. Sometimes there are little glitches with network issues, and they will help you walk you through it. Got to have an iLock USB key. They're about $50, but once you have that, you can start using the software right away. If you have an iLock from your existing software, Pro Tools, for example, you can use that same iLock. So Source Connect is brilliant. It's pretty darn reliable. It is one of the best tools out there. That's probably one of the most widely accepted alternatives to ISDN. And it really shows your clients that you're playing on another level when you have Source Connect in your toolbox. So sourceelements.com, go check it out, get a 15-day trial and give it a whirl. Thanks again, Source Elements. We really appreciate it. Back to you, Dan.
All right. Well, I got to do a live read too.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, The VO2GoGo voiceover curriculum is beginning anew in January, starting all over, kicking off the new year with mastering home equipment, mastering microphone technique, and auditioning with Audacity. All the basic stuff, all the easy stuff. Now, the best time to become a VO2GoGo pro and save money every month as you refine your voiceover practice. And for a limited time, you can save even more with one of our cyber specials, giving you hundreds of dollars off or a complete home studio setup as part of your membership. Visit vo2gogo.com/VOBS to get more info and to get started. That's vo2gogo.com/everybody. Should get out my lightsaber. /VOBS. All right. And I think you got to run a spot for me there. No, you already ran it.
We did it, man.
All right.
We are done with the commercial blitz.
All right.
Moving on.
Well, it's time to introduce our guest, who came running in here not 15 minutes ago and looking like he had been driving through all sorts of traffic. But let me tell you a little bit about our guest. Stu Herrera is a production director at KLOS-FM here in Los Angeles. Agent is SBV, been there since 1998. And you're active in the DLF Voice Lab advisory board. You do that too, don't you, George?
Yeah.
All right.
I got a little hand in that thing.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And every year, Stu rides bicycles with 300 other riders on the CCC California Coast Classic. 525 miles.
530.
530 miles.
Yeah,
Didn't
every
mean to
mile
shortchange
counts,
you.
man.
To raise money for the Arthritis Foundation. And every year except 2015 involved in giving Christmas gifts to UCLA Hospital with Joe Cipriano, who's a great guy.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Nice to see you again.
Nice to be here.
We've met a few times. You've been on the show a bunch of times.
At least once, yeah.
At least once, that's right. And but it's nice to actually sit down and have an interview with you in the flesh.
In the real studio.
Really. Now, you're a production director. Something I did many years ago.
Yeah.
Reel-to-reel tape and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Razor blades, grease pencils.
Been through all of that.
Yeah. And then the quad machines came. It's like, oh, this is totally different. But one of the things that you do as a production director, and I did, and I remember this, and I forgot to download it, but maybe I'll try and find it. When I was a production director, and the copywriter went on vacation. And the copywriter. I wasn't the copywriter. I was just the production director. Station manager, this little guy named Al, came in and says, "Hey, now you're the copywriter for a week." And he throws me the NAB copywriting guide. And
awesome.
the first thing, the first page of the NAB, which stands for National Association of Broadcasters, for those of you wondering, was, here's how you write a spot. Sit at your desk, put your feet up on the desk, grab a tablet.
It's like a good start to me.
It was. And I'm like, I'm liking this already.
Have a drink.
That's
light
right.
a smoke.
That's right. Back when you could smoke in an office.
Oh, sure.
Not that I ever did.
Can't?
No. Anyway, it's just start writing everything that comes into your head. That was my introduction to copywriting. And after writing thousands of spots, I guess they were right. But what came first? Now, you were in radio first and just being a jock, or did you just train yourself to get into being in production?
I started in production. Actually, I started as an intern at my first radio station, and I'm only at my second one, so it should be a short story. But yeah, I always wanted to be in production. I kind of liked, goofing around in a studio, with outboard effects racks and rocking tape and, blades and all of that. I liked the idea that you could screw up and it was okay because it wasn't live. And then that led to, as I was doing that and I moved into a paid position, that was sort of like the sidekick producer on the morning show. So, I got a taste of live on air, and eventually I wore all kinds of different hats at that place. And then when I moved to KLOS, I was hired on as the production director, imaging director. And along with that came on-air duties as well, although I haven't had those for a bunch of years. And that's okay because, it seemed to work out okay.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. But there wasn't as much emphasis initially, at least when you jump into the trenches at a radio station. I mean, at least at the places where I've worked, no one's concerned enough about the copy. Like, is it 30? Is it 60? Great. Say the number a couple more times.
Yeah.
So the craft of writing spots isn't always at the forefront like I would prefer it to be. I wish we had a copywriter where we're at KLOS. They let the clients write, or the AE writes, or, let's take the spot from last year, whatever seems to work. And what I'm really good at is rewriting copy to at least make it, have some kind of impact, because at the end of the day, the whole idea is, I believe in the power of radio. And as a business owner, I believe that if I get some message out there to people, it will, spur them to action and bring them into my shop, and that, I get a return on my investment.
Right.
So if your message doesn't land, you could, go to the racetrack with your money. It doesn't make any sense.
That's true. It's a good point.
Yeah.
So what do you do? So you get a piece of crappy copy. It's like, I love it. The account exec comes over and throws a business card on your desk. I need this in 30 minutes.
Yeah, we get that. You can't always, create something that works, just due to the demands on your time.
Right.
You just got to get stuff done. But if you have the time and you can craft something good, I don't know necessarily what you want to spur someone to action. You want to make somebody feel something. Usually, people want to, it's an emotion-based reaction that gets someone to move to action. So I recently had to write a spot about, there's a battery manufacturer. They're making motorcycle batteries, and they're not lead acid anymore. They're So I started the spot with just some imagery about what it's like riding a motorcycle. And everybody knows, knees in the breeze and facing the wind and all that.
And you know that personally because you're an avid motorcycle
I love
rider.
motorcycles.
Yeah.
So, and contrast that with the feeling that you get when you hit the starter and you're not going anywhere today, are you? Because your battery's dead.
Right.
So, and then you kind of get into the product features and stuff. It's like a 60 spot. Like, we didn't even do 60s anymore. I'm like, I got a whole 60 to fill here. Great. So,
time to cue up some sound effects.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, right. So that was a spec, and I haven't heard back from them.
I liked it.
I heard he was in China manufacturing more batteries.
That's right. So, I remember the days when I proposed, we could divide up a minute into 4 sections and sell 15s.
Oh, we're doing that.
Oh, I know. They laughed at me.
Yeah.
I'm like, listen, people don't have an attention span of more than 10 seconds. Sell it in 15.
Yeah, there's some funny, we have competitors down the dial who like to count our commercials. And today KLOS played, this many commercials, and we only played this many commercials. Like, yeah, how many 60s did you play and how many 15s did we play? You're comparing apples to oranges, but get the name right. It's KLOS.
Right. Now, you got into radio just as I was getting out.
Is that so?
You started in what, 92,
We're
94?
Not gonna, yeah, okay, we can say that.
Okay, close enough. Well, that's about the time I got out and did some other stuff
on
for a
you.
while. Yeah. How has the business changed since 1994? Because I've been totally away from it. I listen to it, but not a lot.
I'll give you a great example. This weekend, I had to go down to Huntington Beach to go pick up a bunch of stuff from my old radio station. We're going to be doing a retrospective on that station, and this particular producer that I worked with down there had a garage packed with everything we ever had there
that they couldn't give away,
which was reels and reels and reels and reels and reels of stuff. So I kind of went through it and picked what I thought was good, a couple of big boxes full, and I got him back to the station, and I don't know how far I'm going to get before the one reel deck that we've got craps out, or I don't even know if the one cart machine we have is around. And I'm just praying that, I get through some of it at least, because I do not want to be the guy that has to go to engineering and say, can you take a look at the reel-to-reel deck? They're going to go, no.
The what?
I'm not looking at the reel. I'll look at it. There it is.
Belt
we
dressing.
don't do
It needs belt dressing.
We don't do reel anymore, Herrera. Like, please fix the reel-to-reel machine. So that's what that used to be. I mean, that's one obvious thing is, the technology is completely changed, and there's no need for blades and markers and editing blocks anymore.
Right.
God, I mean, where do you even begin? It's changed so much. Hey,
it's all computerized.
Yeah, there was something that went down in Washington, D.C. in 1996, sort of changed things. The Telecommunications Act of 1996.
Yes.
Yeah, you remember that?
Yes, I sort of
remember how radio was before and after.
Yes. So suddenly there were not so many owners.
Not so many owners and things, kind of.
Well, you survived that, though. Because they decided that one program director and one production director could run 6 stations.
Ironically, I'm doing one.
Amazing.
But yeah,
that's
elsewhere
how you
in the
survived.
country, they're like, he's doing our cluster. The reason that I'm doing one is probably because of my union, and because I just don't know how I would do more than one station. I love knowing that the guys are out there doing 5-6 stations to a cluster, and you got your cowboy hat, then you got your news hat, and you got your rock and roll hat, and like, dude, I spend all day just trying to come up with a great promo for my one rock station, and maybe once a quarter I come up with one that I like, that I really like.
Yeah. I remember trying to cover a war without a teletype. That was fun. Radio is fun stuff. We could be nostalgic about radio for the entire evening, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
And
made a career out of it.
I had an interesting one too. But now you do promo at the station. Now explain to people what that is so they know specifically what you're talking about.
Well, it's anything that the station, needs to get the word out about in terms of what we are doing programming-wise. So that could just be imaging, meaning like, hey, aren't we a great station? Right. Keep tuning us in. Or this weekend, at KLOS, we've got, usually we do a weekend promotion where we're giving away concert tickets or, whatever, something all weekend. And then we also have a week-long promotion that's also concert tickets or, some kind of programming special. For example, this weekend this week, this short 3-day week, it's Motley Crue. And then beginning Wednesday afternoon, I think, going all the way till the following Monday, we're twice an hour putting on snippets from a syndicated program that we have access to called Rockline. So we'll be playing performances by you name it and little interview snippets that you can't hear anywhere else. And so that's what we're promoting this week. There's morning show promos, anything that you want to, hype and spotlight that the station does.
Right. And what's the process on that? I mean, is it like you have a standard template for things that you're going to do, or it's like, well, I'm going to use a sound effect here, or is there some standard things that the station uses?
The only thing standard that we do is the calls and the slug line at the end from 95.5 KLOS, the Rock of Southern California. And beyond that, I don't use a template, and I might tell a stupid story. I might go for laughs. I might just be informative. I might do something that's sonically interesting or heavy. Usually if I'm doing something like that, it's probably more like an image line or just something that plays in between the songs.
Right.
Something that's beat matched maybe, or that does a play on words lyrically. I've recently did a series of image liners that utilize kind of iconic moments in rock music where somebody sings "oh," so I've match it to the beat,
right.
KLOOOS.
Right.
Sound like I'm having an orgasm, but it works.
Gets people's attention.
Yeah.
Pretty important. So when people get copy, say, not necessarily doing promo copy, but say they get some commercial copy. I have no idea what that
We
was.
took the battery out of that.
I think the burrito's done.
Yes.
We took the battery out of that damn thing.
No, that was the watch. That was the Diane Merritt watch, which...
Is our time up? What happened?
No. There's just things go off all over the place.
Every freaking week.
We're not even sure what it is. Just something beeps in here.
Oh, God.
Somebody cussed, maybe.
Yes.
Use that later.
Yeah. Anyway, seeing as you were a copywriter and still are a copywriter, when people get their copy, they're not thinking what you wrote. They're just seeing words on a page. What's a good way for someone to think how to get into the copywriter's head and try and give back what they want. Because the specs usually are like, what?
Oh, wow. Well, at the radio level, man, there's not much of that going on. That's not even a consideration. At the VO level, that's a real consideration. Let me see. I can back up for a second and tell you that when I write copy, and I have to say, I mean, a lot of times I read my own copy, but I write the promos, and we have a big, thick radio guy down in Florida who I write for. And, he's got a gajillion stations too. So, I don't want to be, I want to be as clear as possible for him. So if there's something cute or clever going on, I'll take the time and write him an email and explain to him what it is and why I've chosen to word something this way. I try not to do too many things like bolding or underlining or italicizing words. I will do that where I need to do it, but I see copy where guys do it on every other word, or every time they repeat a phrase, they underline. Like, what are you?
We haven't seen any of this, have we?
Yeah, what's going on here? So as a VO performer, I really appreciate well-written copy, and that doesn't just mean the words. That means the presentation of it. Is it big enough? Is it double-spaced, or at least spaced and a half so I can read it? Half the time I get glasses on anyway these days, but that's another story.
It happens.
So when I'm writing, I take all that stuff into account too. But thinking of this as a VO artist now, yeah, you definitely want to know. I mean, assuming that the guy had something in mind and he wasn't just trying to get home by 5. He really crafted something. Yeah, it's usually apparent in the copy what's happening here and what my approach ought to be. If you don't get any specs whatsoever, you've got to deduce it. And if you can't deduce it, then you've got to invent it. Hopefully you get some guidance in the in the spec of whatever it could be. Usually it's pretty rudimentary. Oh, you're at a kid's party, you're a clown, you're a car salesman, you're a snail, who knows what it could be. Gosh.
Hey, is that that voice you're running for? Does that happen to be Chris Corley?
No, it's Brian Christopher.
Oh, Brian Christopher.
Chris Corley has been the voice of KLOS though before, and he is a master.
Yeah, when you mentioned the throat.
Oh, really?
It should be on his business. His throat. The two
when I got to KLOS in 1994, Chris was the voice of KLOS, but they weren't sure what they were going to do, and they thought they wanted me to be the voice, and I sounded like a little kid back then. But they threw me on anyway. I went rooting through some tapes one day, and I think they said, "Yeah, use him if you want." And okay, so I found this tape. It was Chris, and I threw it up on the machine, and I'm listening to it, and he's I don't know, in the middle of saying KLOS or something, and he says, "Oh, wait a second," and I'm listening, and I don't hear anything. Why is he stopping? So I crank the fader up, turn the volume up, and you hear this real low rumble in the background. Mm-hmm. Chris comes back to the mic and goes, "Oh," and I love that he just let this roll, because, some pros might edit that out, but it was good enough for Chris. He left it in, and he says, "Well, apparently trash day is Tuesday. I never knew. The trash man's here." So
and you stuck with him.
Yeah. Eventually we changed, but it was, who knows what it was.
You never know what it is that's going to make you draw your attention to you as a voice actor.
The current guy that I have has birds, and I didn't know this for years. I mean, we've been using this guy for almost 10 years now, Brian Christopher, in Florida, and he's in the middle, of some promo, and you never hear, when stuff's off mic, you hear it in the room before you assume that it's going to tape. Well, maybe it is, maybe it isn't.
Yeah.
But there was this, he goes, 95.5, oh, here we go again. Hold on.
That's perfect.
And he's got parrots in the background, and they're like going off over who knows what, another parrot came to the window or something.
You have to use that.
You got
something like that happens.
I know. Leave the outtakes in. I think. You can go overboard with it, but if you're not the type to go overboard with the outtakes, leave them in. They really help break up an otherwise dull day.
Right. And they're great for the holiday parties too.
And they're great for the holiday parties, yeah, for sure.
Have you ever done that? You ever cut together a reel of outtakes party or
yeah,
friends?
I have. It's been done to me, and I'm overdue to put one together for him. He says he's got a little sign-off word that he does after every job, and it's Berber. And so, 40 takes of Rock, Southern California, 955 KLOS. Berber. So I've got a million Berbers, and I just need to stack them all up and play them. It'll take 10 minutes to get through them.
Yeah. Now, promo is a pretty small fraternity and a little bit of a sorority here and there, but it's not a lot of people who really, really succeed in promo. I mean, it's really a very small cadre of people.
Radio or TV? I mean,
all of it. All of it. I mean, you've got your trailer guys, but there are just people you can name who are doing a lot of promo, doing that affiliate work where they got 30 stations and stuff like that, and you're hearing them on Jack FM and hearing them all over the place. What is the skill that you can put your finger on that sets these people apart? What is it that they're doing that makes them this elite level of promo type voice?
I don't know if I can quantify it or really articulate exactly.
Well, what is it that you're looking for when you're listening to these things and you go, "Oh, that's what I need."
Well, in the case of, you're asking me as a producer, not a voiceover artist.
Yeah.
In the case of what I've got going on, I need somebody who has equal equal parts authority and like sarcasm, sardonic. They have to sound like they're like they could go off the rails any second, or they have to they have to sound like there's something subversive going on. I don't know. I mean, you ask 100 guys that question, you'll probably get 100 different answers. But there's always got to be some command and some authority there. I want to, there's that voice.
Right.
What's going on now? And it's going to be fun. I mean, hopefully the station is doing something fun, and presenting the mundane in a new, or at least it's in a way that sounds like fresh and subversive. That's kind of like, there's a little impish rock and roll quality, hopefully, to everything that we put out. I mean, you've got to kind of write it in there too. But even if you've just got just straight copy, it's got to sound fun. It's got to sound sexy. It's got to sound a little rock and roll. And like this person is a troublemaker that we've kind of lassoed and focused. Now that's kind of
that's an interesting way to look at it.
That's radio that I'm talking about. I mean, when we were talking about network promo and stuff, that's a whole different thing, and that's not quite the same. I would say that those there are places where those things converge depending on the kind of show that we're talking about.
Right.
And, I mean, that's a whole other deal.
Yeah. Why is it? Maybe you can. Maybe I'm asking you two tough questions here. I don't know. People coming out of radio and trying to get into voiceover have a very hard time succeeding. There's a bunch of people that came out of radio. I mean, I came out of radio. You're still there.
Yeah.
But a lot of people who are, I like to call them recovering disc jockeys and stuff like that, trying to get into the voiceover business, they don't necessarily have a leg up, do they?
Yeah. No, I'd say not. Radio can handicap you. Even perceptually, I think radio can handicap you. I don't boast about being on. Well, yeah, I do. I'm here.
That's right. Good point.
But when you're presenting your VO self, do not lead with your radio experience, because that's a strike in the negative column. There's this perception, and most of the time it's not too far off base, that you sound radio, and that's over. That's way, way, way over. Trends have come and gone since it's been over.
It's almost analog.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it'll come full circle. And
maybe the announcer voice will come back.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to parody the announcer voice, that's in your bag of tricks, and you've probably got a leg up on the competition for that. Bo Weaver has, his bullshit announcer guy. Right. He's got a whole demo for that, but he doesn't live there, and he, that's a gag, that's a shtick.
Right.
But if that's what you got, and then that's not so good. So spend real quality time for a good long while with a coach and a trainer and get out of that so that you can just sound, like you're not on.
Yeah. And Bo's actually talked about that a lot too, about how, you're not on the radio. And a lot of people, and we hear a lot of audio from people, and it's like, you're not on the radio, man. You're not supposed to make it sound like it's on the radio. The radio makes it sound like it's on the radio.
Even when you're on the radio, don't be on the radio.
Yeah.
That's over. Yeah. I'm gonna start a new show on KLOS. I guess I'm saying it now here first.
Go for it.
I'm
right.
Breaking it.
You've heard it here.
Yeah, deadly afraid. I'm not gonna sound like I'm on the radio. I'm just gonna sound like this. Hopefully, that'll be up to me. But that whole boss jock or put on sound, that's over. That's so far over. It's funny when you go back and listen to it through the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s even. There was a real craft to it, and there was something that just crept into you when you got in front of that mic and into that room. But the world wants to hear honesty, and they want to know who you are with all your flaws and your hiccups and your warts and all of that. That's that's where the zeitgeist is, right?
Right. It's contemporary culture.
So take your cue off of people like, I don't know, Howard Stern seems pretty natural.
Yeah, he really is. Yep.
I mean, he's got those pipes and everything, but he's not. The Howard that you hear on the radio is the same Howard you see on TV, is the same Howard you'd get if you stuck a mic and, woke up in the morning with him.
Right.
Which I hope you don't ever do.
No, just the thought is kind of annoying. Anyway, if anybody has a question for Stu Herrera about some of the stuff we've been talking about, or your own questions.
And I'm drinking invisible. It's just air. It's just air. The magic of television.
That's the secret, ladies
Sorry,
and gentlemen.
I should have brought a red one.
Do that again.
This is my coffee.
That's really cool.
Look at that.
Wow, it's like
We're still having fun with the blue screen.
I know. We're gonna continue to have fun. I can't wear a blue shirt anymore. It's I just totally blend in. Anyway, if you got a question for Stu, throw it in the chat room, and Anthony Gettig, our fantastic chat room monitor, will be in there and directing the questions to us, and I will direct the questions to Stu, and we will answer those questions. And we're going to take a break right now, and we'll be back here on Voice Over Body Shop with Stu Herrera. So don't go away. We'll be right back.
Voice Over Xtra, the voiceover industry's online news, education, and resource center 24/7. Hundreds, probably thousands of free how-to articles for voiceover success, ranging from home studio to voice acting to business. A free voiceover industry directory, calendar of industry events, resource links, a store, and much more. Bi-monthly webinars on all topics of voiceover, free subscriptions to newsletters, reports, announcements, daily news, and features at voiceoverxtra.com.
You're listening to VOBS.
Hiya, VO friends. You sure you ain't booked a VO gig in 7 years? And your demo is so old that you can hear the clicks from the stock music records? And you hear so much tape hiss that you run to the sink to see if the faucet is running? And the engineer used so much echo on your voice that it sounds like it was recorded in the Grand Canyon? And the scripts seem a bit dated too, advertising the new and improved 1938 Plymouth Road King? Is that what's been troubling you, Bunky?
Well, lift your head up high and take a walk in the sun. Your demo can be killer, too. Just contact Uncle Roy at AtlandProductions.com and book yourself a shiny new killer demo. Show your stick-to-itiveness and show the world you'll never give up, never give up, never give up that dream.
Learn the latest in voiceover technology.
Business.
And good old-fashioned acting.
Hey, Paul, I really like your suit. Where did you get it? It looks good on you.
This is VOBS.
Alrighty, we're back here at Voice Over Body Shop, and one of the things we like to talk about every week is our good friend in Chicago who has not gotten cancer, hopefully, but will live longer because he's taking some drug of some sort. At least we see the spots with him.
He just sells it.
He just sells it, but he looks great doing it. And one of the other great things about Harlan Hogan is that he has a great website called voiceoveressentials.com. And if you go to this website, you won't just be going to another website. You're going to a website that has products that are made specifically for voiceover, not for engineering, like, surveying or like pencils or something like that. It is simply voiceover stuff, microphones, all sorts of cool stuff. One of the cool things he has is this thing where you hang your headphones on.
A headphone hanging hook?
A headphone hanging hook.
Headphone
I think we actually
hanging
have
hook.
one over there, actually.
Yeah, we do.
Yes, a Triple H. Very good, Stu. I like that. I'm going to tell Harlan all about that. A hanging headphone hanger.
It's the quintuple H.
Quintuple H.
Yes, anyway, you can buy these things there. And you just have to go over to voiceoveressentials.com. And I'm hoping that he's got some sort of Christmas special running. I'm sure if you go to the page, it will say something like, hey, happy holidays. And, but we'll see. Well, what does it say? There's the Harlan Hogan headphone hanger. It's actually the 4 H's.
That's right, baby.
Well,
anyway. But anyway, you can see that's the headphone hanger. You can just like put it on your mic stand and hang your headphones there. And not that you should be wearing them while you're recording, unless you're listening to somebody. But when you don't have to use them, which should be just a little bit, especially if you use your Harlan Hogan Signature Series headphones, you can hang them right in there. Only $19.95, and it'll do everything you need. Now here's the. You can also put your wires on there. The Harlan Hogan headphone hanger with durable black powder coat finish, no mar groove nylon tip, and soft rubber backing pad. How does he come up with this
All
stuff?
the details matter, my friends.
It's just amazing. Anyway, go over to voiceoveressentials.com, and it's really easy to do if you're watching this show, because right below me, if you look down there, just keep scrolling down, you will see Harlan talking into a porta booth, and if you click on that, it will take you right over to voiceoveressentials.com, and you'll see the great stuff he has. There's a microphone holder for a 416. Everybody wants a 416. Well, you can get a 416, but you can use that specific thing to hold it. It's a great shock mount. Right. Also, the Porta Booth Pro and the Porta Booth Plus, it's all there at voiceoveressentials.com. So go over there right now and buy stuff for Christmas for the people in your voiceover career who you want to get something for.
Today is the 21st of December, which is the Prime 2-day shipping cutoff.
Ooh.
So if you want something for Christmas from Amazon, that I think Harlan stuff ships through Amazon, today is the day, folks. You better have ordered it by now or order it in the next hour, because it's the cutoff.
Yes.
To get it by Christmas.
Well, Harlan's been with us since the beginning of time on this show, and we want to thank him again for sponsoring Voice Over Body Shop. And Merry Christmas to you, Harlan, and to all of the fine people who work over there.
Thank you.
All righty. Stu, get back up here. All right, we got a couple of questions here from our studio audience. Well, it's not, they're in their own studios.
Chat room audience.
Oh, yeah, the chat room.
Valuable.
They're in their own studios all over the country here. Mm-hmm. For example, Jay Sawyer asks Stu.
Yeah.
Has Stu ever used a service like Benstown or Mix Group, etc., for voiceover talent?
I haven't used Benstown for
explain what that is.
Okay, well, Benstown is a collective of some awesome voiceovers. By the way, one of Benstown's fantastic talents is a girl by the name of Rachel McGrath, who we are using. And so, actually, maybe we are using Benstown. I kind of don't really get into the nitty-gritty of the deals themselves.
Right.
I helped, well, let's see, 10 years ago, or whatever many years ago, BC was presented to me by my PD at the time and said, this is our new guy. Get rid of the old guy, put the new guy. I'm like, oh, okay.
Don't you love when a new PD comes into a station?
Well,
It's just wonderful.
yeah, sometimes it gets a little tricky. But this PD we've got is awesome. Anyway, so we wanted to add a secondary voice to the mix, and we went through a lot of different demos, and I was integral to the process, and we all settled on Rachel McGrath. Now, whether or not our deal is with Rachel and, through her agency, or whether we're trading it out through Benstown, I don't know. But to get back to it, and by the way, did I mention how awesome she is? She's crazy and awesome and leaves all the outtakes in.
Sweet.
So Benstown's a collective of a ton of different voices that are out there. I should give those guys a call. And I believe with radio stations you can trade out for their services. So you run a spot a day or a week or something. Benstown sells that, and that's how you pay for the voice. And who is the other collective that they mentioned?
The Mix Group.
Yeah, I think that Mix Group used to be. Oh well, it's escaping me right now.
Okay.
So maybe on the one and no on the other.
Okay. There you go. All righty. The announcer, Doug
Turkle.
Doug Turkle asks, did you or do you work with a voiceover coach specifically for promo?
I have worked with, a big yes is the answer to that, and a lot of different coaches I've worked with. Is this where I name drop?
You feel free.
I started at the time. When I first got into voiceover, it was 98, and I started doing it. I started doing trailers. Mm-hmm. That was all. So I worked my way to the bottom from there, and I'm booking this stuff. That's a whole other story. And I had no idea what I was doing other than just sort of emulating what I thought was a trailer sound. And so the first coach that I went to see, give me some structure and what I'm doing that's working and what am I doing that's, needs help with. And that was Dave Sebastian Williams, who doesn't offer workshops anymore, but he runs the VoiceOver Resource Guide.
Mm-hmm.
And he is a gigantic stud, in my opinion, in voiceover land. I've worked with Maurice Tobias. I've worked with Lee Gilbert. I've worked with Jeff over at Worldwide Radio. All of a sudden, his last name is escaping me.
Comes with the territory, bro.
Dude. I can't remember. I can't remember my own name half the time. I couldn't remember the name of Gwen Stefani. I was down here trying to think. Anyway,
it doesn't get better.
She's not relevant to this discussion. No. But I would. I can't tell. I don't tell anybody else what to do, but I don't know too many VO guys that don't at least go for an occasional tune-up with a good coach. And I'm overdue myself. Maurice is usually the one that I go to first. I really like her take on things and her way of explaining and kind of getting you out of whatever habits or just getting you out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, she's very good at working with people individually and really seeing who you are and what you bring to the table.
Either individually or in a group setting. Yeah. I've gotten lots of stuff out of both with Maurice. Gosh, I feel so horrible that I'm not remembering. I've just given a very small cross section of the coaches that I've worked with. I've worked with probably 10 of them. Lauren Adams is another one. Yes.
But the thing is you continue to study and you work on your craft.
Absolutely.
And that's the most important thing. And there's a lot of coaches around here.
Yeah, there's no shortage of coaches. Doug, you should coach. Doug's amazing.
Oh, he's fabulous. He's great.
No, he's busier than me.
Yeah. I think people who have been in voiceover for a good long time generally can direct and coach a little bit because you just need a meta pair of ears every now and again.
Absolutely.
To say, that's why you can't do your own demos. It's got to be somebody else who can really hear you for who you are, and take you out of there for a while. Let them be your ears for a bit.
It really is true. It really is true.
Yeah. Steve Gonzalez asks, are there any upcoming hip trends in radio promo you see for the next 2 or 3 years? I'll go get my crystal ball.
Hopefully, upcoming hip trends. I'm not sure what to make of that, to be honest. I guess that as we've been able to, as the technology has evolved, we've been able to do things with greater efficiency and with greater success in terms of like beat matching stuff. I'm beat matching some stuff right now for a project where we're kind of taking some old stuff and some new stuff and kind of overlaying them over each other to demonstrate that we play Rush and we play Foo Fighters, we play Zeppelin and we play Chili Peppers. But I mean, that's not like a new trend. I mean, there's nothing new about beat matching.
Right.
In terms, I guess in social networking has changed a lot of things. It really hasn't changed the way that I approach promos, but there's a new lexicon that's, what we say to each other always changes. Like, the word hashtag didn't mean anything a few years ago.
Right.
And, check us out, KLOS hashtag badass, hashtag free tickets,
right.
However you want to integrate that or insert that into what you're doing. Your promos are probably running in more places than just, being broadcast. They're probably, if they're good promos and you're of a mind to do it, I have some of my better promos out on my SoundCloud account, but I encourage the station, like, this is a funny promo. Put it on Twitter, put it on Facebook, or put it anywhere where it makes sense.
Yeah.
That's not really a trend in terms of the way that I'm going to craft my promo.
Right.
You're just going to get a message out. You want it to be clear. You want it to motivate people to tune into your station. I don't know that that changes that, but where your promo winds up that's a trend.
Yeah. So in other words, Steve,
no,
pay attention.
Well,
things will happen over time here.
Yeah.
I can tell you, if you're not like paying attention to what's going on in the Snapchat world, you need to start trying.
I'm not paying attention to what's going on in the Snapchat world.
Yeah, that's where the
is that where your pictures go away?
That's where the 15 to 25 or so year old world is. They're not even on Facebook.
Yeah, I know that.
And that's an interesting new direction. Even Katie Couric is doing Snapchat.
Katie Couric?
Yeah.
No.
CNN is on Snapchat. There's a whole bunch of networks on Snapchat.
I thought it was just for sharing naked pictures, and then they vanished.
No, that's the thing.
Not that you know from personal experience.
It's a whole new media utility that it's getting a lot of attention. A lot of attention.
Well,
so it might be something new to experiment with.
See, now I'm outed as an out of touch old guy.
No, it's if you're over 30, you feel out of touch, but they're definitely using it.
My God, I have no sensitivity at all then. All righty. John Kuhn asks, and we sort of talked about this a little bit, but maybe elaborate a little bit more. Is the radio imaging voiceover market pretty saturated? If not, then what do stations look for, as you were saying before? Is there fresh talent coming along every now and again? It's like, hey, I never heard this guy before. And
oh, yeah, sure. I would, I don't know who the brand new up and, I kind of don't really keep up with that, to be honest. Rachel, I'd heard of Rachel. She's relatively, I think, a newcomer. I don't think 10 years ago she was doing that. 10 years ago, I think she was producing. But there's always room, I think, for new, interesting, talented voices who, have another twist or a take on something. I will say that there is I appreciate Rachel and BC for this, because they will throw ad libs at me that I didn't think of. Almost any time that they throw an ad lib on what I've written, if time allows and it works, I'm inclined to use it. I can only think of so much stuff to say, or ways to say things. So if you have the pipes and the delivery, or the pipes, whatever. If you have the delivery, you don't need the pipes. And you see another way to phrase something, or you can throw it could be anything, a character, or just another line, some smart alecky aside on the script that you've gotten. throw it in. That stuff is gold, and you will be a hero to the people who are employing you.
Wow.
For that.
Yeah.
So anybody
Be unique.
Anybody who's able to do that, there's room for them at the table for sure. I mean, every station is using somebody. So, I mean, in one sense, the radio market is saturated to capacity, but somebody's going to shift, a budget here or there and make room for an outside guy. I mean, for a long time, I was the only voice at KLOS. And those were some bleak years. and then I don't know, somebody found the money and said, why don't we hire somebody else? And then you can augment them, or they can augment you. And then that guy moved on. We found another guy, and now we have, a primary guy, a secondary, a girl, that's Rachel, and I'm, tertiary, if you like. Or sometimes, I just mix it all up. If I write something and I'm like, whatever, that particular day, I'm just kind of writing in my own voice. I'm like, this is, you know what? I'm going to read this. Or it might be time that dictates it. But if that's not an issue, I'm going to read this. Or this is good for me and Rachel. Oh, this is good for Rachel in BC. Oh, this is good for me in BC.
Okay. One last question here. And we'll make it a fun question because it's about fun. John also asks, who is the most fun talent you've ever gotten to work with live as a producer?
I'm the producer.
Yeah.
And
somebody you worked with live and just had a wonderful time with.
Oh, wow. Well, I've only worked with, in my gig at KLOS, I don't really direct people. I've been, like I said, I've been working with the same guy for several years now, and he and Rachel are probably, to my mind, the most fun I've had working. I can tell you, okay, here's another way to answer that.
Okay.
We have, we always get guests coming through, and if it makes sense, if they have time, then I'll grab them and say, hey, can we get some IDs from you? Hey, this is Robert Plant, and you're listening to KLOS. What, IDs are, celebrity IDs.
Yes, right.
So, wait a second.
Oh,
I know how to answer this.
Okay,
and it all dovetails. And I know we have to wrap it up. So, the most fun I'm having right now, Steve Jones from the Sex Pistols does a show, and we've picked it up at KLOS, and it's running weekly right now, and it's called Jonesy's Jukebox. And he is liable to, it's the most unpredictable show on the radio, hands down, in LA. From what he'll say to who he'll have on to what will play, it could literally be anything. Back when he was on Indie, I was listening to his show, and you could hear a Dead Boys punk song into a Pavarotti opera, into a Frank Sinatra song, into a deep cut by Sweet or something. It could just be anything. And then when the set would end, you'd hear a little dead air. What? And then you'd hear some shuffling of papers around. It was Jonesy's Jukebox then, and that was a song by the Sweet. Oh, hold on. Hello. Oh, hey, Mum. No, I'm doing my radio show. I mean, it was just out there, just broke all the rules of radio. So that show is now on KLOS, and I cut promos with Steve Weekly.
Yeah.
He has guests. Like the very first guest he had was Billy Idol. Because he was in the Sex Pistols, so you expect Billy Idol, that makes sense. He had the Cult one week. All right, those guys make sense. Then he had America. Like what? America's okay, cool. America's coming in. We had Apatow, not Judd Apatow. What's wrong with me? The Oregon show. The guy he was on SNL.
Yeah, I know who you mean. Fred Armisen.
Fred Armisen was a guest. Okay,
he was up here somewhere. I just had to drill it out.
What a drag it is. So Jonesy is the most fun that I'm working with right now. He sings some stuff. Oh, we got to do a spot for a lawyer that's sponsoring the show. All right, hand me the guitar. We start singing it. Can you come over here and do a harmony? Yeah, sure, Steve. Hold on. Recording. Okay, now I go over and we sing together. We goof off. It's a real blast.
It sounds like they're taking the looseness and fun of college radio in some weird way and getting to take advantage of that again.
Yeah.
You know, and you don't feel so bound and
it's infectious.
Tight by you're not so bound by a format and just
exactly.
It's
You can
freeing.
like really anything.
It's almost like a
goes.
birth of radio,
and
in
it's
a way.
and it's like he can. It's almost and you know I'm like why couldn't anybody else does it? And it's just going to sound like a mess.
Right.
But he can do it, and it sounds awesome. Why? Well, he says, well, partly because I have this accent. Because an English accent lends legitimacy to anything that you say or do.
Come here, dear.
Yeah.
Pick up your pants.
Exactly. Oh, he could say like the same thing that a guy says, like you or me, you'll get smacked and thrown out. But he says, and you're like, oh, it wasn't that bad. He just said he wanted you to drop your knickers. I mean, whoop-de-doo. So I'd say Jonesy is the most fun that we're having lately. And
now I really want to listen to it.
Yeah, you should definitely check the show out. It is a fantastic
when is that on?
show. Fridays noon to 2. That's all I can say right now. That's all I can say right now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's in the middle of the day.
Crazy.
And I think you can grab it as a podcast also.
Something to listen to during lunch.
Oh, it's fantastic radio. It's just literally, you have no idea what's coming next. It could be a big hit by Thin Lizzy. Could be something you never have heard of in your life.
I think we have much to learn from this.
I can't wait.
I think we'll hang out for lunch and we'll listen to this a couple of times.
And Captain Kangaroo was a blast too.
Captain Kangaroo.
I met the captain because of radio.
Captain.
Captain
Robert,
Kangaroo.
Robert Keeshan, yes.
Bob Keeshan.
Bob Keeshan.
That's you asked me who's the biggest star I've ever met or anything like that.
Yeah.
That's my answer every time.
Used to love Captain Kangaroo. Not the old Captain, the original with Mr. Green Jeans.
Yeah.
Back when the 60s.
This is my babysitter. Here, turn the TV on. Okay, I'm going to go get drunk. Don't worry about Stewie's. After Kangaroo, he'll put on Mr. Rogers and the Electric Company.
Exactly.
She'll be drooling when we come home in 6 hours.
That's right. Well, Stu, fabulous having you on.
Thanks very much,
See,
Dan.
we could talk about radio and just cultural stuff all night. Yes. But we're out of time for this part of the show. So anyway, Stu, thanks for being here. We've got to wrap things up and wish you all Merry Christmas in just a minute. So stick around. We'll be right back here on VOBS.
Are you confused about how to set up and maintain a professional quality voiceover studio? No wonder. The information out there is mostly mythology. This is the best microphone to use. You have to have a preamp. You need a soundproof booth. This software is the best. Your audio must be broadcast quality. Consult with someone who knows the truth. Someone who's been there, in the trenches, doing voiceover for over 30 years. Someone with unparalleled experience with voiceover studios, who's worked with hundreds of voice actors and designed hundreds of personal studios. He knows how to teach and cares about your success. In one of the harshest environments known to voiceover, your home. Dan Leonard, the Home Studio Master. Separate myth from fact and get a handle on your personal voiceover studio. Contact the Home Studio Master at homevoiceoverstudio.com. Drop off a specimen of your dry audio for a free analysis.
Voice Over Body Shop, where you can learn everything from mic technique to how to market your voiceover business to acting your way out of a wet paper sack, which is my favorite, by the way.
All righty. Hey, we're in Hollywood.
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 Oh, wait, it was supposed to be Christmas around
Yeah,
here.
where's
There
the-
we
where's
go.
the Christmas
Sorry
guy?
about that.
Oh.
Wrong button.
That's much better. I like this.
Yes.
Anyway, we have a lot of people to thank. Because
Indeed
this
we
will
do.
we
Do you want to use the mic too?
What?
There you go.
Oh, thank you. That would be a big help. And who are some of the people who we'd like to thank?
Well, we've got a whole slew. I've got them even typed into the notes.
Outstanding.
Well, we have
then
Eric.
Go for it.
Eric Aragoni. Enough said. Marriage.
Gets his name mentioned another way.
I know. Marriage, thank you. Dave Smith, Andrew Kaufman, Michael Martin, Tracy Ellman, Philip Sapir, Maureen Vogel, Shelly Avellino, voiceovers, Thomas Pinto, fastedits.com. They're all contributors, and I believe all of them are regular monthly subscribers, too.
Oh, outstanding. And we really appreciate it because otherwise we wouldn't have all this cool stuff here.
We wouldn't be able to have this logo and the beautiful Christmas lights behind
That's
us.
right. You decorated that tree so nicely.
Thank you,
by the way.
my friend.
It's
Thank you.
It's very, very nice.
I wanted to mention something. I didn't put it. I
Go
just
for
put it in. Benstown Radio, since it did come up on the show tonight, reminded
Yes.
me. They do this thing every year, the last couple of years, called Cans for Cans. So if you have headphones, then you can participate. All you have to do is take a picture of yourself wearing your cans in your booth or whatever and post it on Twitter and Instagram, Facebook, any of those. I think they're looking at all of those places. Do you?
My picture.
Yeah.
What is it?
And
Like
Stu did.
hashtag cans for cans?
Hashtag cans for the number 4 cans. Just that's all you got to do.
All right.
But you don't have to put anything else. Make it.
have to be necessarily wearing them on your ears.
No, you can wear them on your nose, as Stu did. I think I saw yours. You can put them anywhere, man. That's right.
The possibilities are endless.
Yeah, you can have some real fun with it. But Cans for Can, they're going to donate a can of food for every single photo with Cans for Cans.
Outstanding.
I think that last year they donated hundreds. I mean, they took a picture of the stacks of cans. It was an unbelievable amount of food.
That's great to do
Very
stuff
cool.
like that. Well, I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
All righty. Let's see.
You know what? I'm going to toot my own horn.
Go for it.
All right. I just found out that I'm going to be a speaker at NAB 2016.
All right.
I'm really psyched about that. So I'm going to be talking about small studio spaces and how to acoustically tune them and treat them because people don't seem to know.
No.
I can tell
We
you
do
from
it all the
experience,
time.
None of the people that make booths know how to do it, so I figured maybe I should. So they took my proposal, so I'm really excited
Outstanding.
about that.
I hope I
So
get to see that.
I'll be there. Yeah. Well, are you going to be at WOVACon?
I am, of course.
So you will have to come a few days early and go to
I think I
NAB.
will. I like that idea.
Awesome.
I've always wanted to go to NAB.
Very excited.
Ever since I read the NAB copy guide.
Yeah.
Back in 1980.
Show logs.
Show logs.
We
Jack
have the show
DeGolia.
logs.
Yes, they are there right up above us here and click on show logs. Everything except from last week because Jack ran out of things to write about.
Jack's about
My
had a short
God.
circuit. I think we finally broke Jack on that one.
Yeah, well, it wasn't too hard. But then what else we got here?
Our podcast.
The podcast, which you can listen to the show in the car.
Very popular
When
way
you're
to
driving
consume
some
it.
long distance, you could listen to us jibber and jabber into your ear for hours at a time. And those are available on
Stitcher
Radio,
iTunes, and
Podbean.
just pick up your phone, go to your little podcasting app that everybody should have.
Yeah.
Go to your pod thing and,
Yeah.
and type in the name of our show, Voice Over Body Shop.
Son
Boom,
of a gun.
there it is,
Well,
man.
you're good at that.
It's right there on my phone, podcast version.
Well, there it is, right
If
there.
you are a listener on the podcast, but you'd really like to be here live, you can do that too.
That's true.
Because a lot of you do not get to see it live. If you do want to watch it live, we do tape it live Monday nights at 6 p.m. Pacific time, and that's 2 a.m. UTC.
Right.
So,
And there have been people listening at 2 a.m.
or 1 in the afternoon
UTC.
in Australia, or somewhere else.
Yeah, where Carol's having lunch all the time. Okay, what else? We
upcoming episodes. That's
upcoming episodes.
It's all mixed up here. We get stuff up and down.
It's there.
There we go.
It's there. It's right there. Okay.
Birthday party.
Yeah, next week's my birthday party here.
Yay.
We had to keep the guest list down because there's only so many people we can stuff in here.
It's pretty.
It's going to look like the stateroom scene from Monkey Business. But anyway,
fun.
Yes, and
I'll be down in
Virginia
visiting a friend from the voiceover world, Mary Kelly Williams, and she's going to have some folks over too.
So it'll be a party no matter where we are.
Coastal party.
That's
It'll be
right.
Like
We'll have
days.
an early New Year's party.
It's fun. That's on December 28th.
Yeah. So that'll be here. Then I believe
we're going to take a
day off.
January 4th.
You realize? I think we've done like 13 or 15 shows in a row.
Uninterrupted.
We have not taken a break since
we started.
Since the Jewish holidays, I think, which was back in September or October.
Yep.
So it's been a long run. We need a break.
That's the day I fly back from the East Coast. I need some downtime.
All right. And we'd like to thank, of course, our sponsors, guys like Harlan Hogan over at voiceoveressentials.com, Voice Over Xtra, John Florian, Merry Christmas to you, and hope everything's going good there back for you back in Connecticut. Edge Studios, your employers.
That's right.
Source Elements, and the guys who bring us Source Connect, vo2gogo.com, David H. Lawrence the 17th, and we thank them all for the uninterrupted live streaming that we give you every single Monday night, except the first week in January, where we're taking a break.
Yeah.
But they help us out, and we really appreciate it. And a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to all of them. And we'd like to thank also our wives. Marcy's, of course, not here this week. She's watching Star Wars back in Buffalo.
Can we say we thank our wives for not being here tonight?
Maybe I hadn't thought of that. Alrighty. And we'd like to thank Kathy Curran, our fabulous producer, Anthony Gettig, for his great work in the chat room tonight. He was there. He was on target tonight.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, because he was actually here. And then let's see. Anybody else?
Well, Jack DeGolio, we said that. Lee Penny, who makes that podcast, get out on the web every week. Yeah.
So anyway, folks, have a wonderful holiday season. It's great being here every Monday night, and we couldn't do it without you. And we do it for you. And if you have something you'd like to see on the show, write to us, and we'll try and get it on. Some guests maybe you'd like to suggest, or a segment you know. And of course, if you want to videotape something, you can do that.
Yeah, be a field reporter.
Be a field reporter. We're looking for that kind of stuff. We don't just keep talking for, an hour and a half on end. So
maybe there's like a product that you want some more light shed on, or maybe there's a manufacturer's rep that you'd want to have on, or who knows? I mean, we live around so many different representatives of companies and manufacturers here. So let us know what you'd like to see on the show.
Absolutely.
The guys at
VOBS.tv. All righty. Well, that's going to do it for us this week. We'll see you next week at our party. That should be an interesting show, especially since you're going to be running it from Virginia.
Yeah, I'm going to run it from
very
remote.
different.
Yeah.
Also like to thank Stu Herrera for being with us tonight and driving all the way over here. And then he's got to go back to work. Son of a gun. Yeah. Anyway, Merry Christmas, and you can say Merry Christmas too.
Merry Christmas.
Alrighty. I'm Dan Leonard.
It sounded slightly
demonic.
Demonic.
That's my slightly demonic Santa Claus. I did
you
very
got the
well
letters
with
and Santa mixed up, I think, on that one.
Okay.
Anyway, where were we?
You were gonna wish
I'm George Whittam in the West. No, I'm not. We're both
in the West. Next week, you get to be in the East.
I'll be in the East next week.
And I'll still be here in the West. And this is Voice Over
Body Shop.
Or VO.
BS.
Have a great holiday, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Bye.